Hi, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to take a look at the fascinating life and times of King Tutankhamun, the boy king of ancient Egypt. Here are 20 surprising facts about this legendary ruler that you may not have known. 1. King Tut's parents were related. King Tut's parents were related. In fact, his father was also his uncle. This type of incestuous relationship was not uncommon in ancient Egypt's royal families. 2. King Tut had an incestuous relationship of his own. King Tut was married to a woman named Tutankhamun, who was the daughter of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. That made her Tutankhamun's half-sister, or his full sister, if the theory about Nefertiti being his mother is true. 3. King Tut became pharaoh at age 9. As the grandson of the pharaoh Amenhotep II and the son of pharaoh Akhenaten, Tutankhamun was destined for the throne. He assumed his position as Egypt's leader at the young age of 9, and ruled until his death 10 years later around 1324 BCE. It is believed that King Tut is the youngest pharaoh ever to rule over the ancient Egyptian empire. Because he was so young when he came into power, his uncle I was likely in charge during those early years. 4. King Tut reversed his father's religious reforms. King Tut didn't need to do much to impress his subjects. His father, Pharaoh Akhenaten, had been a disastrous ruler. Akhenaten changed the established religion to focus on the worship of one god, the sun deity Aten, which left him branded as a heretic. Akhenaten also moved the holy capital from Thebes to Amarna. When Tut became pharaoh, he undid his father's changes and declared Thebes to be the religious center once again. This helped him earn the trust of his people during his brief reign. 5. King Tut changed his name. King Tut went by many names during his lifetime. He was born with the name Tutankhamun, which translates to living image of Aten. After he became pharaoh, he changed his name to Tutankhamun, or living image of Amun. This change was a reflection of Tut's devotion to the god Amun, whom his father had neglected in favor of the god Aten. Today, Tutankhamun is most commonly known as King Tut. 6. King Tut had health issues. King Tut had a severe bone disease that left him disabled. He had a clubbed left foot, which made it hard for him to move around. In ancient art he is regularly depicted sitting down when engaging in physical activities like archery, whereas other pharaohs were always shown standing up in similar scenarios. It's believed that Tut's inbred lineage contributed to his physical issues. CT scans of his mummy showed that his left leg had been broken and infected, which may have contributed to his untimely death. 7. Experts used to suspect that King Tut had been assassinated. King Tut's mummy was discovered with a hole in its skull, leading some people to believe that the young pharaoh had been assassinated with a blow to the head. This theory has since been widely debunked by experts. It's now suspected that the hole was either put there by embalmers when King Tut was being mummified, or it was created when archaeologists first removed the mummy's gold mask. It's much more likely that the infection in his leg was the cause of his death. 8. A chariot accident may have contributed to King Tut's death. If King Tut did indeed die from a broken leg, the question still remains of how he broke his leg in the first place. According to one theory, the teen king died in a horrible chariot accident, which is why one side of his body, including his leg, was found crushed. The chariots used by royalty in ancient Egypt were small and light, allowing them to reach high speeds. Although there's no evidence that chariots were used for racing during this period, they were used during war and for hunting rides. 9. King Tut wasn't history's only young pharaoh. King Tut was likely the youngest pharaoh to lead Egypt, but not by much. Cleopatra became co-regent with her younger brother and husband, Ptolemy XIII in 51 BCE when he was just 10 years old. Looking beyond ancient Egypt, there are many young monarchs from history who shave years off Tut's age record. China, Russia, England, Spain, and France are just a few countries that have crowned rulers when they were babies. 10. King Tut's successors tried to erase him from history. While King Tut did a lot to reverse his father's unpopular reforms during his lifetime, none of it did much to protect Tut's legacy in the long run. His successors did their best to remove his wife, Tutankhamun, from history, and the memory of Tutankhamun along with her. Tut was buried quickly and in a small tomb normally reserved for private citizens, not one of the grander tombs meant for pharaohs. Because his tomb was out of the way, it remained untouched for centuries until it was rediscovered in 1922. Now King Tut is the most famous Egyptian pharaoh of all time. 11. King Tut's tomb was robbed, twice. Before King Tut's tomb was discovered by Howard Carter in 1922, it was visited by grave robbers. The first break-in took place shortly after Tutankhamun was laid to rest. Following that initial incident, there was rubble blocking the burial chambers, but it didn't take long for a second set of intruders to tunnel their way in. Carter found the tomb in shambles with entryways blocked off to provide further protection to 12. Tutankhamun. King Tut had 3 coffins. Inside King Tut's stone sarcophagus were 3 coffins. The outermost pair were made of gilded wood and the inner coffin was crafted out of solid gold. Over the head and shoulders of the mummy was the ornate gold death mask that many people associate with Tutankhamun. The mummy was placed inside the Russian nesting doll-style coffins, and everything was put inside a large quartzite stone sarcophagus with a pink granite top. 13. Some people think King Tut's tomb is cursed. King Tut's tomb has inspired many legends since it was discovered decades ago. Because many people associated with the site have subsequently met with misfortune, stories have spread about its supposed curse. Some of the victims of this so-called curse include George J. Gould, a financier who got sick after visiting the tomb in 1923, and George Herbert, 5th Earl of Carnarvon, who died of blood poisoning after funding the dig. This so-called curse has been blamed for more than a dozen deaths. 14. King Tut was entombed with a meteorite dagger. The tomb of Tutankhamun contained many extraordinary objects, one of which was a dagger carved from a meteorite. The dagger was found on the body of the mummy when he was discovered, but it wasn't until a few years ago that portable X-ray fluorescence spectrometry revealed that the materials came from space. The iron in the blade contained 10.8% nickel and 0.58% cobalt. Such a high nickel percentage indicated that the iron came from a meteorite, not Earth. 15. There are no hidden rooms in King Tut's tomb. Even after it was excavated, King Tut's tomb continued to capture the imaginations of archaeologists. In 2015, a British archaeologist put forth a theory based on laser scans that a second room was hidden behind a wall of the tomb and waiting to be explored. He even suggested that Tutankhamun's stepmother, Queen Nefertiti, might be entombed there. That idea was put to rest and a comprehensive ground-penetrating radar survey showed there were no hidden rooms or corridors adjacent. 16. DIY repairs were made on King Tut's burial mask. After surviving 3,000 years in a tomb in Egypt, King Tut's iconic gold death mask was badly damaged when, around 2014, the mask's braided beard broke off, and museum curators used epoxy glue to reattach it. This improvised solution may have ended up causing more lasting damage than the accident itself. Epoxy glue is hard to remove, and attempts to scrape off the adhesive resulted in permanent scratch marks on the artifact's priceless gold face. 17. King Tut was buried with an ancient board game. One of the world's oldest board games was discovered inside King Tut's tomb. Senet, or passing, had been played in Egypt for 1800 years prior to Tutankhamun's death. It was played by people of all class levels, and though the exact rules have been lost to time, it's believed to have something to do with life and death. It even may have been an early version of backgammon. 18. King Tut rocked pop culture. When his tomb was discovered in the early 20th century, King Tut had a massive impact on pop culture. The Egyptian aesthetic infiltrated the 1920s, appearing in fashion, home design, and architecture. Americans especially were so fascinated by King Tut that President Herbert Hoover even went so far as to name his dog after the young monarch. Tut's impact was felt for decades after his discovery. The historical figure has been depicted countless times in movies, songs, and television shows. 19. King Tut's tomb recently received a makeover. After years of traffic from tourists, King Tut's tomb closed to visitors in 2009 to undergo a long conservation project. At the beginning of 2019, the archaeological site finally reopened to the public. Today, the attraction features an air filtration and ventilation system, restored wall paintings, a viewing platform, and new barriers to protect precious artifacts from viewers. King Tut's tomb is one of the most popular destinations for tourists visiting Egypt. We may finally know what King Tut really looked like. By conducting a virtual autopsy of his mummy with CT scan data, scientists were able to build a 3D model of what King Tut may have looked like when he was alive 3,000 years ago. The computer-generated image looks much different than the striking face depicted on Tut's iconic gold mask. Rather than the godlike figure that's been shown countless times in pop culture, Tutankhamun was a frail, ordinary teenager in reality. And there you have it, 20 surprising facts about King Tutankhamun. We hope you enjoyed learning more about this fascinating historical figure. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Thanks for watching.